Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about why you might not want to buy a Tesla Model 3 or an EV right now, so if you're interested, stay tuned. So as you know, the Model 3 isn't the cheapest car on the planet, but it is the mass market car from Tesla, and one can be had for under $40K. And when I say cheapest, I mean that basically some people don't want to pay $40K or more upfront for the car, or simply just don't have that kind of money right now. But what they don't realize is that over 5 years, the Model 3 at $40K is actually cheaper than your standard Toyota Camry or Honda Accord if you factor in gas, maintenance, and stuff like that. But for this video, we're going to be talking about why you might not want to buy an EV. Maybe you just can't afford the $40,000 price tag at this point, or maybe you're just tight on money. You're always tight on money as it is. So buying a $25,000 new car or maybe a used car might work better for more people, but you're going to end up paying more in the long run that way. And it's just more spread out. You can think of it as like a loan that way, and maybe that'll work better with some people's budget. So if that's you, then maybe buying an EV right now is not a good idea. What I'd recommend is try to save up money for in the future. That way you can put a bigger down payment down, and then maybe you can afford the car, later down the line. Your charging situation is also going to impact if an EV is right for you, because obviously you can't just go down the street to, get gas like you normally would. So you have to be ready for this and also make this part of your plan if you're going to buy an EV in the future. So let's say you live in an apartment or a condo where basically your parking is outside or it's not actually connected to your residence. It might be kind of hard in that case to put in a NEMO 1450 or some sort of charging accessory to actually be able to charge your car every night. So if that's the case, then getting an EV right now might not be for you. The supercharger network is vast and still growing very fast, and you can definitely make this work as your primary source of charging, but it's just not as convenient as having a NEMO 1450 or a wall charger in your house, where basically your house just does the work for you overnight while you don't have to do anything. I suspect though that most people are not going to like this and probably complain that basically they're going to have to wait at the supercharging station for the car to charge all the time, even though you can sometimes kill two birds with one stone, and maybe the supercharger station is, located in your local grocery shopping center or maybe a retail shopping location that you like going to. And supercharging is a perfect segue into my next point, which is road tripping. So if you like doing lots of road trips and you don't really like stopping that much, then an EV might not be for you right now. Battery tech is kind of still in its infancy, but to be honest, the supercharging network is pretty blazing fast. But at this point, it's just not as fast as gas. And so basically, if you care about that time and you don't really care about throwing away money, then an EV might not be for you, because basically gas is still at this point faster to gas up and go than having to wait, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get energy for the car. But you can plan around this if you're going to make stops anyways. Maybe you have some kids and they're going to have to stop anyways to go to the bathroom and things like that. If that's the case, then it might not be very inconvenient for you at all. But say maybe you're just two adults and you just want to get to that next destination ASAP. If that's the case, then having an EV at this point may not be for you. And at this point, you still have to do a bunch of planning because there's only so many supercharger stations out there. So if you're a spontaneous road tripper, then an EV might not be for you right at this moment. Let's say you're a big gearhead and you love the smell of exhaust fumes and the loud roar of an engine. Speaking of gearheads, definitely these types of people like to mod their cars. So having an EV, you might not be able to do as much of that because there's obviously no engine to mod. So there's not going to be anything you can do there. And with Tesla, we know the motor is run by software. So the only way to mod your motor is to basically be a hacker and hack into the software. I would not do that, to be honest. And if you did do that, Tesla's going to find out and they're probably going to fix it within the next update. So it's not even worth trying to do that anyways for the headache and for what you're going to get. So power mods are pretty much impossible, but there are limited other things you can do. Maybe you want to drop the car, maybe you want to upgrade the brakes, or you can put new rims on it, or maybe you want to upgrade some of the other suspension parts. You could do that if there are aftermarket parts available. Range anxiety should basically not be an issue anymore because the SR Plus now has 260 miles of range. But maybe your job is really far away, or your job requires you to drive, all day and you don't have home charging, then maybe an EV is not right for you at this point. But if that's the case, then I would say that home charging is your issue over having range anxiety to get an EV. Since Teslas today have a ton of range, with the Model S having over 400 miles of range, and that's not even talking about the 4680 batteries that have been announced, but we don't know how much range those are going to give the new cars, which should give the Model 3 at least 400 miles of range, and the other cars are going to probably have even more. The last reason that owning an EV might not be for you is service centers. Tesla, the company, has only been around for less than 20 years, and their first car, the Model S, was introduced in 2012. I'm not going to count the Roadster that was introduced in 2006 because that's not a mass market car at all. So in that time, they've built a ton of service centers, and I know they're working very hard to build as many as they can, but let's face it, there's just no comparing a 20-year-old company to, companies, these ICE companies that have been around for 50 plus years, or even more than 100 in Ford and Chevy's case. So what I'm saying is, in a sense, there's limited service centers. So if there's not a service center near you and you need to take the car in, that's going to be a pretty big hassle. Tesla is one of the only companies offering mobile service, which is obviously super convenient, but sometimes you just need to get that car on the lift. Now we know that EVs don't have as much maintenance, actually a lot less maintenance than ICE cars, but sometimes issues arise where you just need to get the car in there, into the service center and have it looked at to get it fixed. So if the service center is not near you, then that's going to be a hassle. So if it's a 3-hour drive to the nearest service center, then getting an EV might not be right for you right now. So those are the reasons I could think of why buying an EV might not be right for you right now. But if none of those impact you, then buying a Tesla is definitely worth it for the fun factor. It's cheaper than gas and cheaper to own, and it's better for the environment. Which reason do you think will stop most people in their tracks from buying an EV? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.